Long before telescopes turned toward the heavens, long before galaxies were measured or the age of the universe was calculated, the sages of ancient India looked into the sky and saw something astonishing. A cosmos not made once and forever, but one that is born, dies, and is born again across unimaginable spans of time. Their vision was preserved in the hymns of the Rigveda, in the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the cosmic dance of Shiva carved in stone across temple walls. A millennia later, a modern astronomer gazing through the eye of science would recognize in these ancient verses something the rest of the world had missed. Carl Sagan, astronomer, cosmologist, the voice who taught a generation that we are made of star stuff, and the man who declared in his landmark series Cosmos that among all the world's great religions, only one had dared to imagine the true scale of the universe. The most sophisticated cosmological ideas, Sagan said, came from Asia and particularly from India. Here there is a tradition of skeptical questioning and unselfconscious humility before the great cosmic mysteries. Most cultures, he noted, imagine the world to be a few hundred human generations old. Hardly anyone guessed that the cosmos might be far older, but the ancient Hindus did. In the temple town of Dharasuram in southern India, Sagan stood before the bronze figure of Shiva Nataraja, the cosmic dancer, a sculpture already more than 1,000 years old, and he described what he saw with the precision of a scientist and the wonder of a poet. The god has 4 hands, he explained. In the upper right hand is a drum whose sound is the sound of creation. In the upper left hand there is a tongue of flame, a reminder that the universe now newly created will billions of years from now be utterly destroyed. In that single bronze image, Sagan recognized a complete cosmology, creation, preservation, dissolution, not as myth, but as a metaphor for the eternal rhythm of the universe itself. Each of Shiva's dances, the ancient texts declare, is a universe begun, and when the dance ends, that universe returns to silence. Sagan gave voice to what moved him most. The Hindu religion is the only one of the world's great faiths dedicated to the idea that the cosmos itself undergoes an immense, indeed an infinite number of deaths and rebirths. It is the only religion in which the time scales correspond, no doubt by accident, to those of modern scientific cosmology. Its cycles run from our ordinary day and night to a day and night of Brahma, 8.64 billion years long, longer than the age of the Earth or the Sun, and about half the time since the Big Bang. 8.64 billion years. A number the ancient rishis wrote down with no telescopes, no equations, no satellites. A number that modern cosmology only arrived at after centuries of painstaking measurement. A number that sits still and unmoving in the verses of the Puranas and the pages of the Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes how the Supreme Lord breathes out universes without number, each one floating like a bubble on the cosmic ocean. When he exhales, creation begins. When he inhales, all things dissolve back into him. Galaxies, stars, planets, civilizations, all caught in the vast inhalation and exhalation of the eternal. This is what Sagan saw and why he spoke of it with reverence. We live in a universe, he said, that partakes of a very Indian succession of cycles, expansion followed by contraction, cosmos upon cosmos, universes without end. If we live in such an oscillating universe, then the Big Bang is not the creation of the cosmos, but merely the end of the previous cycle, the destruction of the last incarnation of the cosmos. The destruction of the last incarnation of the cosmos. This is not the language of a physicist reaching for poetry. It is the language of a scientist who has found, in the wisdom of the Vedas, a vocabulary adequate to the immensity he is describing. For Sagan, Hindu cosmology offered something the Western tradition had long struggled to accept, that time may be circular, not linear, that the universe may not have a single beginning and a single end, but an endless procession of beginnings and endings, each one complete, each one giving birth to the next, At CERN, the great laboratory where physicists study the smallest particles and the largest forces, a statue of Shiva Nataraja stands at the entrance, a gift from India, and a silent acknowledgement that the dance of creation and destruction carved into that ancient bronze speaks to the same truth that modern physics is still uncovering. The timeless wisdom of the Srimad Bhagavatam reminds us of what Sagan glimpsed through his telescope and read in the verses of the sages, that we are born of stardust, that the cosmos is vaster and stranger than any single lifetime can grasp, and that the great dance, creation, preservation, dissolution, is the oldest and perhaps the truest story we have ever told about the universe and ourselves.